Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's episode of The Fishing Teacher, and much appreciated you guys swinging by the channel to spend a little time with me. Got more Magdraft secrets for y'all today. At the time of filming this video, it's the middle of April. We are smack dab in the middle of Magdraft season and will be for like the next month. And you guys hear me talk about the Magdraft a lot on all my channels, but I want to get you guys some, or really share with you guys some additional tips to use, because if you guys have never caught a bass on a Magdraft, it's one of the most funnest ways to catch a bass. So we're going to get into that today's episode. And also guys, I'll put my Megabass Magdraft link in my tackle warehouse description in this video if you guys would like to pick up some using that link. Really a good way to help the channel. And also thank you very much for everybody that's taken time to hit that subscribe button here to The Fishing Teacher. Really appreciate that. And we're working hard to get to 20,000 subscribers, and hopefully we'll be there within the next couple months with your help. So thank you very much for that. Okay, here it is guys, the Megabass Magdraft. This is the 6-inch model. We've talked about the different models, the 5, 6, 8, and 10. But if you've never caught a fish on a Magdraft, this is probably the one to start out with, just the 6-inch model right here. This is get you good fish. It'll also catch 1.5 pound fish, so it's a really good size with it. But I really wanted to go over, in this video, I sort of wanted to gear it to people that have not really caught many fish on this thing. And I want to really go over some of the most important components and the most important things to consider if you want to try to catch some fish on it. So we're going to talk about the gear and where to throw it at. Now the first thing guys, let's talk about the gear to throw it on. You want to throw the Magdraft on like some type of a 7-foot medium heavy action rod. This is the Megabass perfect pitch I use at 7.2. And then the line is critical too. I've tried tons of different pound tests. The line that works the best on it is 15-pound test Seaguar and VizX, with the medium heavy action rod. That's going to be your setup, because the combination of that 15-pound test with that medium heavy, it allows you to manipulate the bait, control the fish, get the bait down at the optimum depth, get the best action on it. It's just the best all-around setup for it. So that's really critical, because if you use too heavy a line on the Magdraft, it's going to float up, it's going to rise a little bit, you won't get the depth out of it. And if you use too light a line, you can always break off with that. Same with the rod. If you use too soft or too stiff of a rod, it can also affect your success with it. So on the bait here, the Magdraft is one of the few lures that you can literally throw right out of the package. I modify most all of my baits in terms of like putting split rings on them or different size of hooks. The hook that comes in the Magdraft is the best hook for it, and you tie it right to the line eye. You don't need anything else on there. Just pull it out of the package and tie it on. And if you're not familiar with it, there's a magnet here in the inside part of the Magdraft that keeps this hook, up against the belly. But there's also a slit here, so you want to put one of the barbs in the slit, and it rides like that, so it sort of hides the hook. And one of the first things I thought when I saw this bait, that you're going to lose a lot of fish, but you very seldom lose fish on the thing. So the big tip I want to share with you guys when you're talking about the Magdraft, aside from just those basics there, is how to work the bait and what you want to do as far as when the bait's in the water. Now there's two different ways that I fish the Magdraft. One is fishing it in really shallow cover, visible around targets, and the other is fishing it deeper, like on points. So based upon what type of structure I'm fishing, this is going to determine, how I fish it. If I'm fishing it around targets, like say, for example, lay down trees or the edge of a grass line or around a boat dock, I throw it out there, and I like to keep the rod tip at about the 10 o'clock position, because the water's shallow and I don't want the bait to sink much. And I just use a slow medium retrieve like that. And I really try to get the Magdraft to come as close to the target as I can get. I'm not putting any additional action on it. I'm trying to keep the bait probably that far underneath the surface. I want it close to the surface around those objects. That's one thing. But my favorite way to fish it is fishing it a little deeper, or around a little bit deeper structure. So just casting it down rocky banks, casting it on points, not fishing the bait deeper, but the water is deeper relative to the bait. So the two of my favorite places to fish a Magdraft in is like paralleling a steep rocky bank or a bluff bank, or fishing like a main lake or secondary point. Now, when I do that, I'm going to let the depth of my bait that I run at, it's going to be based upon the water clarity. when I'm fishing those bluffs and the points and stuff like that, the bait's sinking down. I want it to get down in the strike zone, again, based upon the water clarity. And here's my sort of my rule of thumb. If the water visibility is under 3 feet, I want to try to keep that bait about 2 feet down, something like that, 2 to 3 feet down. And then if the water clarity, as it gets cleaner, I may fish it down to 5 or 10 feet, based upon the angle of the bank. So that's all relative to the water clarity, but the retrieve is different, because what I do is I'll throw the Magdraft out there when I'm fishing down those steeper banks, and I keep the rod tip low to the water. It's hard to see on the camera here, but it's a little bit different than, when I'm shallow cover like this, but I got it low to the water, rod tip sort of pointed at the water, and I'm reeling it straight like this, and I'll reel it for 3 or 4 cranks, and I'll do a fast half turn like that. 3 or 4 cranks, and boom, just like that. So what that does is the Magdraft is going along just like this, and all of a sudden that half crank makes it speed up just like that. Now, this is important for triggering a strike out in that more open water, because a lot of times, especially if the water's cleaner, the bass will follow that Magdraft and they track it. They get right behind it and they'll look at it, because it's a big bait and they're not stupid. And when you do that half turn like that, a lot of times when they're following it, when they see it moving like that, instinctually they just attack it because they think it's getting away. So that half, if you can learn anything out of this video, learn the half turn technique like that. It makes a huge difference. I do the same thing on the Alabama rig. Alabama rig, it applies the same to that. But anyway, guys, that's just a few of the tricks that I use with Magdraft. Like I said, if you've never caught one on it, now's the time to do it. The best conditions for it are cloudy, windy days and a little bit cleaner water. So if you say, Randy, I want to catch one on a Magdraft, I've never caught one, here's my advice on it. Go to a major creek arm in the lake you're fishing. Get a day out there where you got a little bit of wind, like a 10-mile-an-hour wind, and a cloudy day, and water visibility of probably at least 3 feet, probably closer to 4 feet is going to be better, and start running those windy points and the windy banks with a Magdraft. And guys, that's the best condition to catch one in over about the next month. So anyway, I hope it helps out, and we'll talk later.